In this video, I'll walk you through a complete drywall patch study, from prep all the way to paint. We'll cover removing fasteners, adding backing, measuring and cutting drywall, hanging around a pipe, taping, coating, texture, and final paint. This is a real-world repair using professional methods that prioritize strength, clean lines, and long-term durability. I always start by cleaning up the framing. That means removing every leftover screw and nail from the demo process. I pull the screws first, then switch to my dikes to remove any nails that are still set in the studs. Taking a few minutes here saves a lot of frustration later. Flat framing makes for flat drywall. Anywhere a patch edge doesn't land on a stud, I add backing. This gives me solid nailing surface and prevents cracking down the road. Strong backing is one of those details you don't see when it's finished, but you'll definitely notice if it's missing. Here I had to cut back the sheetrock an inch or two to fit my framing behind it. When I measure drywall, I always start with length, then height. Once I have those two measurements, I locate the pipe. I measure from the left edge to the center of the pipe to get my vertical center line. Then from the drywall above down to the center of the pipe for the horizontal center. This tells me exactly where the cut needs to be so the sheet can slide into place cleanly. I cut this sheet on the floor. First, I mark my length and height using a T-square. This is 5/8 drywall, so I make sure to score it deeply. That way it snaps clean instead of fighting me. Once the board is sized, I mark the pipe location. I use my speed square to run straight lines down the left and right sides of the pipe mark, then cut that slot out with a multi-tool. This allows the sheet to slide down over the pipe without removing the escutcheon. I always save the piece I cut out for the pipe. That insert will get embedded later using mesh tape and hot mud, which restores strength and keeps the repair from cracking. As I fit the piece into place, I hold the pipe with my left hand and guide the drywall with my right. You never want drywall or mud bearing directly against plumbing. That can restrict movement as the pipe expands and contracts, which can eventually lead to cracks or leaks. Once the pipe wall is hung and secured, I go ahead and tape the slot I cut to slide the drywall over the pipe. I start by taking the insert piece I saved and trimming a small section off the top, roughly the width of the pipe, plus a little extra. This allows the piece to fit easily between the floor, the pipe, and the slot it came from. Before placing the insert, I coat both sides of the slot, left and right, with hot mud. Next, I cut 2 short pieces of mesh tape and place them horizontally across the opening, creating a bridge over the slot. I press the tape firmly on the right-hand side so it stays locked in place, but I leave the left side slightly loose. That little bit of slack allows the insert to slide down without fighting the tape. Before installing the insert, I apply a small amount of hot mud to the back of it. This helps it bond to the mesh tape underneath. I then work the insert down into the slot using my fingers, pressing it firmly until it feels snug. You may have to push it in with some pressure. That's a good sign it's making a strong, secure bond. Once the insert is flush with the surface plane, I smooth off the mud and clean up the tape. Finally, I tape the 2 vertical seams created by the slot. Instead of running tape horizontally again, I place the mesh vertically so it covers both seams at once. Then feather everything out slightly to start the float. The remaining panels are straightforward, just length and width. So I repeat the same measuring, cutting, and hanging process for the rest of the patch. Quick reminder, if you're getting value from this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing. I post real-world drywall repairs like this every week with professional techniques you can actually use on the job or at home. Once everything is hung, I move on to the tape coat. I'm using 20-minute Easy Sand Quick Set, commonly called hot mud, because it bonds well and sets up fast. I start with the longest seam on the back wall and use mesh tape. Since I'm bonding unlike materials, I apply mud first. This helps fill irregularities and gives the tape a stronger bond. I always burn my edges down first, then flatten everything slightly to keep the buildup minimal. From there, I tape the long seam on the next sheet, then finish by taping the inside angle between them. For the fill coat, I start by working around the pipe first. Using a 6-inch knife, I coat the left and right sides of the pipe, starting near the floor and gliding my way upward. The shape of the knife is designed for this kind of tight, dynamic work, allowing me to move smoothly around obstructions. Once the pipe is filled, I move on to coating the inside angle on the left side of the long wall. Doing the tricky pipe work first prevents us from gouging into fresh mud later. It's much easier and much cleaner to coat the angle second. Once the angle is coated, I switch to a 10-inch knife and float out the long seam. I apply a heavier fill underneath the seam, then extend the coat about 3 to 4 inches past the tape line. After that, I smooth everything down and feather the edges clean. On the right side wall, I take a slightly different approach. Because the wall section is shorter, I decide to fill the entire patch in one pass to make it easier to establish a flat surface plane. I pull the mud from left to right, making sure to leave enough material in the center to bring the patch flush with the surrounding drywall. The goal here isn't thickness, it's consistency, so everything lands on the same plane before moving on. I scrape my pan clean in between coats. Once the fill coat is set, I move on to the skim coat using all-purpose joint compound. The process is very similar to the previous coat. I start around the pipe first, then work my way up the inside angle, across the long wall, and finally onto the shorter wall on the right. This coat isn't about building thickness. It's about tying everything together and creating one continuous surface plane. I apply a light, even layer of mud over the entire repair, making sure every seam, fastener, and transition gets touched. I smooth it down, burn the edges, and then make one final pass to blend the patch into the surrounding drywall. On the shorter wall, I coat the full repair from edge to edge so the surface stays flat and consistent once it's sanded. Taking the time here makes a big difference. The cleaner your skim coat is, the easier your sanding, texture, and paint will be later. Once the skim coat has dried and been lightly sanded, I move on to texture. This is a Southwest-style hand texture applied with a drywall knife. No hopper, no sprayer. The key here is pressure and angle. I keep my knife at a slight tilt and let the mud roll and break naturally as I pull it across the surface. Too much pressure flattens the texture, and too little leaves heavy peaks. I'm not trying to create a pattern, I'm letting the texture form organically while keeping the depth consistent with the surrounding wall. I work the repair slightly past the patch area so the texture blends seamlessly once it's painted. After the texture has fully dried, I move on to paint. The cutting in was already done beforehand, so here I'm just rolling the body of the patch. This is an acrylic latex eggshell finish, which helps soften the texture and blend it into the existing wall. Even though I'm only showing one coat here, 2 coats are always recommended for a consistent sheen and full coverage. And that wraps up this drywall patch from start to finish, from prep and hanging all the way through texture and paint. If this video helped you understand the process a little better, make sure to like and subscribe. I've got more real-world drywall repairs and pro techniques coming soon. Thanks for watching.